He said it was just one mistake, that he'd never do it again, but I wasn't the only one he had to convince. One night, while he slept, I checked his messages and found one that made my stomach drop. So, when can we have another mistake? My hands trembled as I read his response. I wish I could, but she's starting to suspect. The next morning, I poured him coffee, kissed his cheek, and whispered, "You're right, I do suspect." His face went pale, and that's when he knew his one night would cost him everything. I met Mike at a Saturday farmer's market in Asheville, North Carolina. I wasn't looking for anyone. I had just come out of a long, painful divorce. No kids, no alimony, just me trying to rebuild at 38. I owned a little crafts shop downtown and spent most of my weekends alone, minding my business. That day I wanted peaches. That's it. I left with peaches and a man who would break me in ways my ex-husband never did. Mike seemed charming in a plain way. Tallish, a bit scruffy, flannel shirt, and that easygoing confidence that makes you feel safe without knowing why. He made a joke about a dog in a baby stroller and we laughed. We talked about jam. He asked if I wanted to grab coffee. I said sure. He wasn't special right away. Just consistent. He followed up. Called when he said he would. Sent good morning texts. Told me I had kind eyes. Told me I was soft in a world that's sharp. At 6 months, he moved in. It felt like a second chance. Like life wasn't just throwing bricks at me anymore. He helped me repaint my guest room. He built me a shelf that was crooked but made me smile. He cooked. He bought those small things, chapstick, dog treats, hand lotion, and said it reminded him of me. I was falling for him fast. Too fast, maybe. But at that point, I thought the world owed me something good. I didn't think it would slap me again. The first lie came quietly. He said he had to work late. No big deal. But he didn't text much that night. Came home smelling like hotel soap, not his usual body wash. I noticed. Didn't say anything. A week later, he left his laptop open. I wasn't snooping, I swear. Just wanted to play music. Gmail was open. There was a draft email unsent. It said, "Had a great time last night. Can't stop thinking about you." I know it's wrong. I stared at it for a full 5 minutes. My heart didn't even race. It just stopped. Froze. I felt cold all over. He came in while I was reading it, saw my face, and said immediately, "That was a joke." My buddy dared me to write that. I didn't believe him. But I wanted to. So I said, okay. Weeks passed. He started turning his phone over when we were together. Not always, but often enough for it to stand out. He'd smile at texts and not show me. If I asked, he'd say, "It's work stuff." Boring. He changed his lock screen from a picture of us to some generic mountain landscape. Said it was more zen. I remember asking him, "Are we okay?" He looked me in the eye and said, "Of course. Why wouldn't we be?" I should have trusted my gut, but I didn't want to be that woman again. The one who's always suspicious, always insecure. I thought maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe the trauma from my last relationship was making me see ghosts where there were none. But ghosts don't send flirty messages. Ghosts don't whisper through locked phones. Ghosts don't leave earrings under the passenger seat of your boyfriend's car. That's how it all came apart. I found a small silver earring in his car one afternoon when I was cleaning it out. It was clearly not mine. I don't wear jewelry like that. I asked him straight up, "Whose is this?" He blinked. No idea. Maybe my sister's? He doesn't have a sister. I didn't call him out right then. I was too stunned. Too angry. I put the earring in my pocket and kept quiet. That night, I pretended everything was normal. We watched a movie. He kissed my forehead. I smiled. But inside, I was burning. A few nights later, he fell asleep early. He had a few beers and passed out hard, snoring like a freight train. His phone was on the nightstand. Face up. I took it. No guilt. No hesitation. I unlocked it using Face ID. First thing I checked was messages. A woman named Tara had sent him a message at 10:11 p.m. that night. It said, "So, when can we have another mistake?" My blood turned to ice. He replied just 15 minutes before falling asleep. I wish I could, but she's starting to suspect. That was me. I was she. I couldn't even cry. Just sat there, staring. I scrolled up. They had been talking for months. Sexting. Sharing photos. Inside jokes. He told her he loved the way she smelled. Said he missed her taste. I felt like I was going to throw up. But it wasn't just Tara. There was another message thread labeled N. She had sent him a photo. In bed. Wearing his t-shirt. His t-shirt. I went through his messages like a crime scene. One by one. I found conversations with 3 different women. All ongoing. All emotional. All physical. Each one thought she was the only one he was cheating with. But really, we were all just part of the collection. Like trophies on a shelf he dusted off when he was bored. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the kitchen with the lights off. listening to the fridge hum and the dog breathe. Morning came. He shuffled in like everything was normal. I poured his coffee, kissed his cheek, looked him dead in the eye and whispered, "You're right, I do suspect." He froze. Just like that. Eyes wide, color drained, mug halfway to his mouth. He didn't even try to lie. Just stared, mouth open, like words had abandoned him. I didn't scream, didn't cry, just walked away. He followed me, asked, "What did you see?" I said, "Enough." Then I asked, "Was it just one?" He said nothing. Then, "It was a mistake. Just one." I swear, it meant nothing. I said, "Then why are there three?" He crumbled, sat down, tried to cry. I didn't care. He begged. I didn't flinch. He asked me to talk to him. I said, "No, you can talk to the others. I'm done listening." I wasn't angry anymore. I was numb. That scared me more than anything. I'm still in the house. He's staying with his brother in Charlotte. Or maybe with one of the other women. I don't know. I don't care. The thing is, I'm not even at the revenge part yet. That's coming. Because I'm not the only one he lied to. And he doesn't get to walk away clean. So Mike left that day with just a duffel bag. Said he needed space, time to process. I didn't say much. Didn't cry. Just watched him walk out like a man heading to the gallows with a stupid suitcase. The silence in the house felt heavier than his betrayal. But here's where it gets worse. 2 days after he left, I got a message. From a woman I didn't know. Her name was Rachel. She found me on Instagram. Said she recognized me from a photo Mike had on his fridge. Her message said, "I know this is weird, but I think we need to talk." About Mike. I called her. Straight away. No games. She was shaking. I could hear it in her voice. She'd been dating Mike for almost a year. Thought he was single. He told her I was his ex who refused to let go. That I was unstable and manipulative. That's why he couldn't post photos of them online, because I was watching. He told her I keyed his car once. I didn't. That I stalked one of his coworkers. I don't even know their names. He'd made me the villain in her story. He even showed her my house and said I had to move out because she was dangerous. I was shaking now. I told her everything. What I found. What he said. What I read. She cried. She said she loved him. And I said I did too. We talked for 2 hours. Comparing stories. Timelines. Lies. She'd met his mom. I never did. She'd gone on vacation with him to Savannah. He told me it was a work retreat. She said he had a folder on his phone, hidden in a photo vault app. All the women. Labeled by initials. With notes. Preferences. Birthdays. Favorite positions. A damn database. He called her R. I was A. Tara was T. The others? God knows. Rachel blocked him that night. But not before sending him a screenshot of our call. He didn't text me. He texted her, "She's lying. She's obsessed with me. I told you she's sick." Then he sent her a voice note, crying. I heard it later. He said, "I don't know how she turned you against me. She ruins everything. Everything. Like I'm the virus, and he's the victim." The thing is, I still hadn't told Tara or the others. Until I did. I messaged Tara next. Told her what I found. She was quiet at first. Then she said, "He told me you cheated on him. That he was heartbroken." Of course he did. She agreed to meet. So did Rachel. And so did Nina. Yeah, I reached out to Nina too. We all met at my place. I baked muffins. That's how insane this was. I baked muffins for a circle of women who slept with my boyfriend. We didn't cry. We compared screenshots. We connected dots. We laughed at some of the dumb things he said. At how he recycled compliments like a lazy poet. Then Rachel dropped the bomb. He said he got someone pregnant last year. But she lost it. Dead silence. No one said anything. Then Tara whispered, "It wasn't me." Nina? She looked like she'd seen a ghost. "That was me," she said. Voice like gravel. He said he couldn't be there for me. That he was in a dark place. Said we'd try again someday. We were all staring now. Nina was crying. Silent tears. She said, "He blocked me a month later. Told me it was too much." And that's when I snapped. Not rage. Just clarity. This wasn't a guy who made a mistake. This was a man who collected women. Controlled them. Played them against each other. Gaslit and ghosted them with surgical precision. He wasn't broken. He was polished evil with a soft voice and clean hands. And we were all his collateral. That night we made a plan. Not for revenge. Not yet. Just for truth. Each of us would confront him. Separately. Say what needed to be said. Then disappear. Block him. Burn the bridge. Let him feel every piece of the fallout. One at a time. Rachel went first. Sent him a letter. Handwritten. Mailed it to his brother's place. It ended with, "You used my heart like a weapon. May it cut back one day. Tara posted their entire chat log, screenshots and all, on a local women's group on Facebook. Just names blurred. Enough to warn others. Nina? She sent him a photo of the ultrasound she still kept. No words, just the image. And me? I haven't made my move yet. Because the truth is, I found something else. His Google account was still logged in on my iPad. I don't think he realized. I checked his Maps history. He's been driving to my house. Parking down the block. Sitting there for hours. Multiple nights. Always after 10 p.m. I watched it in real time one night. He parked at the corner. Sat for 45 minutes. Then drove off. He never texted. Never knocked. Just watched. What does he want? Forgiveness? Control? Closure? I don't know. I'm not sure he even knows. All I know is, I keep my curtains closed now. I sleep with the bedroom door locked. He said it was just one mistake. But that was only the start. A week after we found out Mike had been sitting in his car down the block like some sad stalker, something even more bizarre happened. I got an email. Not a text. Not a DM. An actual email. From a woman named Allison. Subject line, "You don't know me, but I think we have a mutual problem." She said she found my contact info from a shared PayPal transaction between me and Mike. Apparently, he used my account once to pay for a hotel, accidentally, and the info had synced into her app. She snooped, got curious, and Googled me. Said she recognized me from Mike's camera roll. She told me she was his fiancé. Fiancé. I just sat there, reading it over and over again, like it was written in another language. They'd been engaged for 11 months. He proposed in Charleston on a pier, with her mom there. She sent me a photo of the ring. The same ring I saw on his dresser once. He said it belonged to his grandmother. Nope. Just another recycled lie. They had a wedding date set for October. Guest list printed. Venue booked. Dress bought. Her voice on the phone was trembling, but she was calm. Like a woman whose shock had calcified into quiet fury. She said she wanted to meet. I met her at a Panera of all places. Middle of the afternoon. She wore no makeup and her hair was in a bun like she hadn't slept in a week. She brought a binder. Yeah, a literal binder. Inside were receipts. Emails. Photos. Texts. Screenshots. Airline tickets. Rental car receipts. One of the hotel bookings matched the same weekend he told me he was at his mom's retirement party. There was no retirement party. She flipped through the binder like she was in court. Every piece lined up. And then she turned to the last page. It was a pregnancy test. Positive. I'm 6 weeks, she said. He doesn't know. I felt like I got hit by a truck. I didn't know what to say. What do you say to that? Congrats? I'm sorry? Welcome to the trauma circle? She just said, I thought I knew him. But apparently, I only knew the version he gave me. We sat in silence. Just two women who'd both been sleeping next to a man who had multiple lives. Eventually, she said, I'm not keeping it. Then, but I'm not done with him, either. I didn't ask what she meant. But the look in her eyes said everything. She wasn't out for closure. She was out for exposure. And she had the tools. 3 days later, it all exploded. Someone, still not sure if it was her, but I have a hunch, sent out an anonymous email blast to over 100 people. Friends, family, coworkers of Mike's. The subject line was, just so you know who Mike really is. Inside was a Google Drive link. It included every receipt, every message, a timeline. Names redacted but enough details to make it obvious. The wedding venue canceled. The Facebook event disappeared. His social media vanished. A friend of his messaged me, said Mike had a full-on breakdown. Showed up drunk to his brother's place and smashed a window. Cried. Screamed. Said, they turned on me. All of them. Like we were a pack of wolves instead of women who once loved him. Then came the next twist. He came back. Not just back into town. He showed up at my store. Middle of the day. Wearing sunglasses like he thought that would help. He walked in like he wasn't the human embodiment of a red flag parade. The bell on the door dinged and I looked up and just froze. He said, can we talk? I said, no, he said, please. I walked from behind the counter and told him to leave. Calmly. Clearly. No emotion. And then he said the thing that stopped me cold. You don't understand. It's not just me. It's not just women. I'm being followed. I left. I thought he was pulling some new stunt. Gaslighting level 3000. But then he said, they're watching me. My emails. My phone. I think one of them hacked my stuff. That caught my attention. Not because I cared. But because I didn't know who they was. He looked terrified. He pulled out his phone and showed me his email inbox. Every password reset request. Every app login from unfamiliar locations. Someone had taken over his digital life. Photos were missing. Notes deleted. Contacts renamed to numbers. It was chaos. He said, I think Allison's doing it. Or Rachel. Or maybe someone else. I messed with the wrong one. I stared at him. Part of me wanted to feel bad. He looked like a ghost in his own skin. But another part of me remembered every lie. Every night I cried alone while he was wrapped around someone else. So I said, you played with fire. Now you're burning. And I turned around. As he walked out, he muttered something under his breath. You're the only one who didn't try to destroy me. That stuck with me. Because he was right. I hadn't yet. But now? Now I was starting to wonder if I'd been too kind. It happened at a brewery. Of all places. There's this spot downtown Asheville, big outdoor patio, live music, local IPAs. It's where Mike and I had our first date. I hadn't been back since everything exploded. But Rachel texted me one night and said, he's here. Right now. With someone new. You should come. I didn't want to. But I did. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe to see him miserable, haggard, alone. But no. He was sitting there, beer in hand, with a brunette woman. Laughing, his hand on her knee. Like none of this had happened. Like he hadn't burned 6 lives to the ground in under a year. I stood across the patio and just watched. Then Rachel appeared next to me. She looked calm, but her hands were clenched. She said, he texted me last night. Showed me the phone. I miss you. I know I messed up. But we had something real. Sent just 12 hours ago. And here he was. Playing house with a brand new woman like we were all disposable. I didn't think. I just walked over. Rachel followed. People noticed. The music kept playing but conversations quieted. I tapped him on the shoulder. He turned. He froze. He looked at me, then at Rachel, then at the woman next to him. She looked confused. I said, loud enough for the tables nearby to hear, tell her who we are, Mike. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. Rachel added, or should we show her? The woman blinked. What's going on? I said, we're 2 of his exes. At least 2. There are more. Mike stood up fast. Knocked over his drink. Tried to grab my arm. I pulled away. You don't touch me anymore. He snapped. Voice raised. What do you want from me? I said I was sorry. You think I don't hate myself enough already? People turned their heads. The band kept playing but the vibe had shifted. Bartenders stared. A couple near us got up and left. Rachel stepped forward. Calm. Ice cold. We want you to stop pretending you're the victim. You're not. He laughed bitterly. You ruined my life. All of you. You made me out to be a monster. I said, you didn't need help with that. And then the woman, the new one, stood up. Is this true? She asked him. He didn't answer. She asked again, louder this time. Mike, is this true? He turned to her. Reached for her hand. She pulled back. Hard. Don't you dare. And then she left. Just turned around and walked away, holding back tears. He tried to follow. Rachel stepped in his way. I'll never forget her words. No more escape routes. Sit in your mess. He sat. Not because he wanted to. Because he had no choice. Rachel and I walked out. That was the last time I saw him in person. The fallout was quick. The brewery banned him. Word spread fast in our community. A few mutual friends dropped him. Some didn't. Some still messaged me with the old, he's not a bad guy, just lost excuse. Let me say this clearly. Lost people don't build lies. They build maps. He had a whole atlas of deceit. One night, weeks later, I got a long email from Mike. Apologies. Explanations. Trauma from childhood. Fear of being alone. Emotional immaturity. Gaslighting disguised as vulnerability. The last line said, you were the only one who saw the real me. I didn't reply. He saw me as a mirror. Nothing more. Rachel moved away. New job, new start. She still texts sometimes. Nina's in therapy. Tara's dating someone kind. Allison? She never responded to my last message, but I know she went through with the termination. She posted a photo later of her alone on a beach at sunset. No caption. And me? I'm still in the same house. Still running my shop. I see women come in all the time with that same soft look I used to have. Hopeful. Trusting. Open. I don't stop them. But I do notice. I haven't dated since. Not because I'm broken. Because I'm healing. And that takes time. I'm not angry anymore. Not like before. But I still carry it. In small ways. I check for lies before I check for love now. I notice the shadows before the light. People say heartbreak makes you stronger. I think that's bullshit. It makes you careful. It makes you different. And sometimes, it just makes you done. So yeah, Mike said it was just one mistake. But it wasn't. It was a pattern. And now? Now I'm finally free from it.